Okay, you will need a pencil.
Oh, yes.
Just a pencil. Okay, so today we're going to practice a strategy for asking questions while we're reading. And I see Mrs. Burns has it up here. Ask questions before, during, and after reading. And that's for help with comprehension, right? So we're going to practice that today, and we're going to do it again with the lizard. Okay. So those back. Okay, so like I said, good readers ask a lot of questions. And there are 3 times when you should ask questions: before you read, during your reading or while you're reading, and after you get done reading. So today, to practice it, we are going to make ourselves a little paper. And you could do this while you were reading if you had a really hard passage or something you weren't understanding. And it would give you note. It would help you take notes. Okay? So what you can do is just divide your paper into the different sections. Okay? So this is before, during, and after. So before we get started, I'm going to let you guys do that. And you can, it's just going to be really simple. Not even a fancy paper. So you could just, if you wanted to do it yourself, you could just open your notebook and do it. So before we get started, do that. Make yourself a spot for before, and then in about the middle of the page, write the word during, and then more towards the bottom, write the word after. Okay, so if I want to ask questions before I even start to read, I'm gonna look at the passage, and that's basically what you're gonna do. You're just looking, you're not reading anything. So if I look at this, some things you wanna look at are the title. It's called A Lizard with a Blue Tongue. So I might think, why would a lizard have a blue tongue? Okay, so that's going to be my question. I'm going to put, and I'm going to show you to do this. You're going to do a little by yourself, but just follow on. So I'm going to put, why would a lizard have a blue tongue? Nope. Why would a lizard, this is my chart, so don't write anything right now. I'm just showing you. I'm modeling for you how we would do it. So why would a lizard have a blue tongue? Okay. So that's a question I have just after, all I did was read the title. Sometimes you have lots of black headings when you're reading, and those can be things to look at. Another thing to look at is the pictures. Okay, there's a picture of him here. If you flip it over, there's another picture. So what would maybe be a question you might have after looking at the pictures? Does that make you wonder anything about this lizard?
It looks kind of like a snake.
So maybe, is it like a snake, you might be wondering? Okay. Anything else that looking at just the pictures makes you wonder? I've never seen a lizard like this before, and that's a weird blue tongue. I might be thinking, is that real? Is it a real lizard, or is it pretend? Because he looks kind of weird. It could almost be, with that bright blue tongue, it could almost be an animal in a fiction or a not real story. So I might be wondering, is this a real animal? Okay, so go ahead and in your before spot, put one question you might come up with. What's one question you could think? And like I said, just the pictures or the title, what does that make you wonder about, or what do you hope you learn when you read it? What does it make you think about? Just one question you could think of before we even start reading. Just from the pictures or the title. Okay. Remember, it's called A Lizard with a Blue Tongue. There's some pictures. What does it make you think of? Just one question before we get started.
Greg.
You are here. They thought you were gone today.
I was gone.
Oh, you just got, okay, come
Am I
on
gonna
in.
do your glasses?
Here, we'll have to make a spot for him. Here, maybe squeeze in right there. Okay. Scoot over here. Okay, we're practicing asking questions while we read. So the first thing, everybody, do you have a pencil?
Oh,
Grab
no.
You don't have one? Here, you can just use this. It's fine. So what we did first was divide our paper at the top of the paper right before, and then kind of in the middle right during, and then towards the bottom right after. Okay? Okay. Okay, and while Greg's catching up, that gives everybody some time to come up with their before. So, in thinking about questions before we even read, you just kind of look. It might be you look at the cover, or sometimes maybe when you're at the library, you might, do you ever read the back? To know what it might be about. So that's something we do before we even read. So in this one, all we can basically look at is A Lizard with a Blue Tongue is the title, and then there's a couple pictures of a lizard. So what does that make you think about or wonder about? This was my question. I said, why would a lizard have a blue tongue? We kind of talked about, is that a real lizard? So if you want to start, just put one question you might have about the reading in the before part. Okay? What's one thing you might wonder about this before we even read? We said we looked at the title, A Lizard with a Blue Tongue. There's some pictures of it. What does it make you think? We had somebody say it looks like it might be some sort of snake, and they're wondering if it's like a snake. So what do you wonder about him before we even start? Or her. I guess it could be a girl lizard. Does anybody want to share what they
put that down.
put your own thought. You don't have to, don't copy mine unless that's what you really wonder too. If that's what you're really thinking, you can use this, but if you have your own thing that it makes you think of. Okay, did somebody have something different than than my question that they thought about? Yeah, what was yours? Okay, is it a snake was a question? Okay, anybody else have something? What's yours say? You have something different.
Was it born with a blue tongue?
Is it born with that blue tongue? That's a good question to wonder. Okay. Good job. Okay, so we did our before. Now we're going to move down to during. So those are questions that we think of while we're reading. So I'm going to start, and I will just read it out loud, and I'm going to stop if I think of a question. I might stop and ask if you guys have any questions while we're reading. So it's called A Lizard with a Blue Tongue by Guy Belleranti. Australia is home to some of the world's most interesting animals. One group of lizards living on the Australian continent stands out in a colorful way. They all have blue tongues. These lizards are called blue-tongued skinks. After I read that paragraph, I'm kind of wondering, where is Australia? Where in the world is Australia? Does anybody know?
Isn't it like Westerners?
Yeah, it's pretty much on the other side of the globe from us, isn't it? And it's a big island, but it's its own continent. So a long ways away from us. Australia is so far away from us that they're opposite seasons. So right now they're having fall, and when we have winter, they have summer there. They're completely opposite. They're that far away from us. So that's what I might want to know. Where is Australia? Because it talked about Australia in that. Okay. as I keep going. And there also might be, yesterday, if you remember, we talked about some of the vocabulary. So some of those words you might know, but a question that you might also have would be about words. You might come across a word or something that it says that you still don't know what that word means. Because we didn't do every word in this yesterday. We did a lot of them, but there might still be a word. So I'm going to keep reading. Blue-tongued skinks are smooth-scaled reptiles with large heads, long bodies, and very short legs. They can grow up to 2 feet long. Does that make anybody wonder anything? You did, okay. What did you wonder from the first one?
Why did they call them blue tongues?
Good, that's a weird name. So she's wondering why they call them blue-tongued skinks. That's a good thing to wonder. Good question. 'Cause, yeah, I don't even know the answer to that one, why they're called a blue-tongued skink. Maybe we'll find out. Because sometimes our questions will get answered if we keep reading. Okay, so then it says, these peculiar animals are active during the daytime, and just like other reptiles, they regulate their body temperature by warming up in the sun and cooling down in the shade. At night, they find shelter in logs, under leaf litter, and in burrows. Does that make anybody wonder anything? And remember, yesterday we figured out what peculiar means. Does anybody remember? What was peculiar? What was that word peculiar? What does it kind of mean if you'd say something is peculiar? It's weird, unusual, different. Peculiar is that. So, and we had another one. We had lots of words in this one. Just like other reptiles, they regulate their body temperature.
Change?
No, they don't change it. Yeah, they want to keep it the same. So if they're starting to get too cold, they go warm up in the sun. If they're starting to get too hot, they go cool down in the shade. They want to keep it the same. Sometimes we like to do that too, don't we? So if you're too cold, what might you do? Oh, were you just too hot?
Yeah.
See, he took his sweatshirt off to regulate his temperature. Or you might get a blanket if you're cold at night. Or kick the blanket off if you get hot. So we kind of regulate our temperature too. At night they find shelter in logs, under leaf litter, and in burrows. What was that burrows word?
Underground.
A hole under the ground. Good job. Okay. On to the next paragraph. Female blue-tongued skinks don't lay eggs. Instead, the soft egg sacs hatch inside their bodies and the young are born alive. The babies are miniature versions of the adults. Within a few days, they're off to fend for themselves. I'm wondering, that's very different than humans, isn't it? It says within a few days of being born, they have to take care of themselves.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you do that to a little kid, they will cry.
Right. That wouldn't work for humans. So, but these lizards, after they're just a few days old, they take care of themselves. But do you think they're really little? Well, it says, yeah, we know they are, because if we back up, the babies are miniature versions of the adults, and we know miniature means what? Small. So they're tiny versions of the adults. But it would still be tricky to be running around a tiny lizard trying to survive, I would think. So, lots of people are having questions during this one. That's awesome. Make sure if you're wondering anything while you're reading, jot it down. Okay. I saw lots of writing. Does anybody want to share? Because maybe we'll hear the answer to your question, or maybe somebody else is wondering that. What are you wondering now? What are you wondering?
Why they on their own understand baby?
Right, because there's other animals that take care of their babies, or the babies live with the family for a long time. So that's unusual about it, and that would be a good thing to wonder. Anybody have anything else? Yeah.
How does the baby survive?
Right, because like we said, they're just these tiny little lizards. How do they survive? That's a good question. Yeah. That's a good thing to wonder. I would wonder that too. Okay, on the next paragraph it says, one of the most important daytime jobs for every blue-tongued skink is searching for food. Using its blue tongue to smell, It finds scrumptious food like fruit, flowers, snails, insects, slugs, and worms. At the same time, it must watch out for predators such as large raptors, large snakes, kookaburras, and feral dogs and cats. Anything we're still wondering? Well, let's go back. We know scrumptious means, what was scrumptious? Tasty, delicious, really good food. And what else? What did we find out a predator was?
That it was your enemy.
Yeah, something to watch, you need to look out for because it's going to try to attack you. And feral. What did that mean? When they say feral dogs and cats, what do they mean? Do you remember? What does it mean when it says they're feral dogs and cats? Does that mean they're a pet? Does that mean they're tame and you can go pet it? No, it's wild. Feral means they're wild dogs and cats. Okay? Now you might be wondering, well, we know what a feral dog and cat is. Do you have to go? Okay. Thank you. Does anybody know what a kookaburra is?
No.
That might be something to wonder. It must be I'm going to guess it's a strange animal in Australia. Just from knowing that that's where the skinks live. So that might be something you're wondering. What is that animal? Okay. On to the next one. Does anybody else have anything else besides the animals, or what are you wondering after that
How
paragraph?
do they smell with their tongue?
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
that would
weird
be
if we did that? You had to, so that's probably why he sticks his tongue out. You'd have to walk around with your tongue out to smell things. That would be weird.
Or he opened his mouth.
Yeah, you have to open your mouth to smell. That would be a little weird. Okay, so unlike most other lizards, this short-legged, low-to-the-ground reptile moves too slowly to outrun most predators. Still, if a blue-tongued skink is grabbed by a predator from behind, it can make an escape by allowing its own tail to fall off. Later, a new tail will regenerate or grow back. So if it grabs a hold of it by the tail, the tail just falls off and it runs away. And then the tail grows back. That's weird, isn't it?
That's pretty cool.
It is a cool way to survive and to get away from something that grabs them. That'd be like if you got grabbed by the arm and your arm just fell off and you ran away. Starfish do that too. They can regrow their pieces, can't they? Yeah. It is weird.
It's really weird.
But you might, I'm wondering, how long does it take to grow back? Does it just like, yeah, like is it just like a cartoon? Does it just go psh, and it's back? Or does it like take a week or a month or a year before it gets its whole tail back? That would be something interesting to find out. Okay, that was, I'll give you guys a chance if you have good questions during that. People are writing, so I'll wait a second. Okay. And so we know that regenerate means grow back, right? Because that's what it said the tail does. The tail regenerates, which means it grows back. Okay, we're on the back now. So it says, when a blue-tongued skink is faced by a predator head-on, it has to use a different defense mechanism than losing its tail. This is because the gentle blue-tongued skink has peg-like teeth that aren't sharp enough to deliver dangerous bites. Instead, the skink's best chance of survival is to puff up its body, making itself look larger. Then it opens its jaws, startling the predator with its bright pink mouth and long blue tongue while hissing loudly. The bright colors it displays are a warning sign in the animal kingdom. Keep away, I'm poisonous. Although blue-tongued skinks really aren't poisonous, the predator doesn't know this. So that's a trick it uses. Right, because then maybe if the predator thinks he's poisonous, he won't want to eat him. So it's a little trick he does, even though he's really not poisonous. The one question I had while I was reading, it was it said defense mechanism. We didn't talk about those words yesterday.
Like if you defending, is it like something? if
Yeah,
you're
good. You picked out a word that looks like defend. Yep. So like it said, it can't. So we know that if the predator comes at it from behind and grabs its tail, it can just have it break off. But if it comes at it from the front, then it said it has to use a different defense mechanism. So that means it has to use a different way to defend itself, right? And that's when it does the crazy mouth jaw thing. Okay. Anybody else have anything they wondered after reading that one? No. Kind of crazy though. Plays a trick on him, doesn't it? Play a trick. Did you know that blue-tongued skinks are becoming popular pets in Australia? These unique, mild-mannered reptiles sure look a lot different than the average lizard. As the largest of all types of skinks and one of the gentlest, it's not surprising to see why these reptiles have made their way into people's homes and hearts. They're pets in Australia.
I really want one.
Yeah, so, well, that would be my question is, do people so we're done reading, so like you just said, I'm wondering, do people in the United States have skinks? Does anybody know? Has anybody heard of this skink? And I'm going to abbreviate it US. Have pet skinks. You think that would be cool? Some people have pet lizards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
Carmen
might-
wants one. Carmen
Yeah.
really wants one.
Yeah.
Someone in Florida, she used to be my neighbor, and
Mhm.
she had a iguana.
An iguana. Yep, that would be similar, but this thing is kind of
What if the person had a cat?
had a cat.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing as if you have a pet fish and your cat likes to play in the tank or something. Because I've seen that happen before. But like the article said, it's usually the wild or the feral dogs and cats that are going to go after it. If your cat is nice and tame, you could probably figure out how to make him get along with the lizard. Just like sometimes a dog and a cat. You might have a dog and a cat as a pet, but they get along.
Yeah. I
cat
used to
hates
have
them.
one.
Oh, yeah, see? And some don't, but. Okay, so once we got done reading, you can go back and think about the whole thing. What is something you're still wondering about these?
What
Yours
would
was
you
good because you said if you had it as a pet, would it get along with your cat? That's a good thing to wonder after we read. What are things you still would like to know?
How long can they live?
That would be a good one to put in the after. It never told us how long a skink lives. Yeah, and I wonder too, kind of, are there lots of skinks? You know, sometimes we hear about, how many of those eggs. It didn't tell us.
It
Yeah,
could be
all
like
good
big.
things.
or
All
little.
good things. Write them down if that's what you're wondering, because you could always. It helps you to understand what you're reading, but also then maybe it might lead you to want to look up skinks on your computer or find another book or watch a video about skinks. So you might, because you're still wondering those things. Okay, and we just have a few minutes left, so you all have. Get one of them. I guess you could have taken his stuff. That's oh, your paper. There you go. Okay. All I want you to do with the last couple minutes is just, let's see, put a mark on the paper. After the, let's see, 1, 2, where it says female, that paragraph down on your reading passage. Okay, do you see where it says female for that paragraph? I just want you to, on Friday, I'll be back and we're gonna, I'm gonna do a 1-minute read with you again. So if you get time, practice it, but you don't need to go any further than that. So we have a few minutes, just try and read through it maybe 1 or 2 times on your own. Whisper read, mumble, read it in your head, but try just to practice your fluency a little bit before, because we won't have another chance before I do the 1-minute time with you again on Friday. Okay, so with these last couple minutes, go through it a couple times. Good job. I'm gonna